Hello, Road Runners! My name is Enrique Medina, and we welcome you here from Paisano Media to this new show for the digital realm for spring of 2021 called The Sportsrunner. And as you may have guessed, yes, we're talking sports. With that said, in the Sportsrunner, our team will be giving you 3 amazing segments that's going to combine both professional sports and Rio Hondo College Athletics. In our first segment called Sportsrunner Weekly, our team, consisting of myself, Enrique Medina, Fernando Ramos, Justin Gomez, and Luke Perez, will be providing you guys with weekly recaps of professional sports. Moving on from Sportsrunner Weekly, we'll transition into our next segment of our show called the Sportsrunner Digest. Here in the Sportsrunner Digest, our amazing team will discuss some of these topics from the weekly recaps in more depth and discussion. From there, we transition away from professional sports into Rio Hondo College Athletics with the third segment of our show called the Sportsrunner Spotlight. Here in the Sportsrunner Spotlight, we'll be conducting in-depth interviews with people involved in Rio Hondo College Athletics. But you'll have to tune in next week for the premiere segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. But with that said, we now bring to you our first episode, our premiere episode of The Sportsrunner. Now, I'm gonna throw it out to you, Justin Gomez, with Sportsrunner Weekly and our NBA recap.
Hello, my name is Justin Gomez, and I am here for your weekly NBA recap.
First, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers continue to struggle without Anthony Davis falling to 1-5 since his injury. This changed on Thursday when Lakers finally got a win against Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. Next, we have the rookie from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, with quite possibly the dunk of the season so far. Some say it's probably going to be dunk of the year. Anthony Edwards has been helping the Timberwolves go for another playoff push after falling just short last year. He is also one of 3 players most likely to get Rookie of the Year, alongside players like LaMelo Ball from the Charlotte Hornets and James Wiseman from the Golden State Warriors. Next, we have Kyrie Irving wanting to see Kobe Bryant become the logo for the NBA. We all know how much of an inspiration Kobe Bryant has been to people in and out of the NBA. Irving explains how Kobe Bryant set a standard for players coming into the league to push themselves in-game and out-of-game.
2, we want to set a standard and a precedent. Like, this is excellence. Kobe Bryant, logo. Yes, needs to happen. I don't care what anyone says. Black Kings built the league. It's exactly what I meant. It's exactly where I stand.
Thanks, Kyrie.
Lastly, the NBA finally announced this year's All-Stars. This features players like LeBron James, Paul George, and Chris Paul from the West. And from the East, there are players like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Zach LaVine. Due to injury, both Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant will miss this year's All-Star game. They already announced that Devin Booker will be taking Anthony Davis' spot, and Domantas Sabonis will take Kevin Durant's spot.
Thank you, Justin, for our basketball and NBA recap. Let's now go with Fernando Ramos with more on soccer. Fernando, out to you.
Hello, Road Runners. My name is Fernando Ramos, and in today's episode of the Sportsrunner Weekly, we'll be covering the Champions League Round of 16 first leg. Off in the Puskas Arena in Leipzig, Germany, where the home side took on 6-time Champions League winner Liverpool.
Although Liverpool have been struggling domestically, they still managed to get the win after goals from their main man Mohamed Salah and Senegalese winger Sadio Mane. Liverpool now going to the away leg with a 2-goal margin. We move on to the Camp Nou in Barcelona, where the home side were ripped apart by record French champions Paris Saint-Germain. Lionel Messi opens the scoring with a penalty. However, undoubtedly the best man on the pitch was French wonderkid Kylian Mbappe, who scored a hat-trick against Lionel Messi's Barcelona, while the 4th goal coming from Italian youngster Moise Kean. Barcelona have a mountain to climb in the second leg as they need to put 4 past the Parisians without any reply. In the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, the away side led by youngster Erling Haaland took the win 3-2 over Spanish side Sevilla. The goal scorers from the home side come in Spanish winger Suso and Dutch striker Luke de Jong. As for the away side, Mahmoud Dahoud opens the score for the Germans, while Erling Haaland scores a brace to settle the game. A surprise in the City of Dragons as FC Porto beat Italian giant Juventus. The goals coming from Mehdi Taremi and Musa Marega for the home side, while Federico Chiesa gets a goal back for Juventus as the game ends 2-1 for Porto. Huge setback for Andrea Pirlo's side. And what many fans thought was going to be a very exciting game between Atletico de Madrid and Chelsea turned out to be a very dull game. It wasn't until the 68th minute where French striker Olivier Giroud scored an amazing overhead kick to put the away side with the smallest of margins going to the away leg. Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea is flying at the moment as he looks to repeat what he did for PSG last season. Defending champions Bayern Munich took on an exciting Lazio side, however this Lazio side was not able to take down the German giants. The only goal scorer from Lazio came in Argentinian Joaquin Correa, while for Bayern Munich the goal scorers were youngster Jamal Musiala, German winger Leroy Sané, Polish striker Robert Lewandowski, and an own goal from Italian center back Francesco Acerbi. The all-time record champions Real Madrid visited Gasperini's Atalanta side. A Real Madrid side that is plagued with injuries, they still managed to get the win over Atalanta after a surprising goal scorer in Ferland Mendy managed to put the 13-time champions ahead. Atalanta's Swiss midfielder Roman Freuler will miss the second leg after getting sent off in the 70th minute. This is a huge advantage for Real Madrid as they look to qualify for the Champions League quarterfinals after not being able to qualify the last 2 seasons. Final game of the round of 16 first leg of the Champions League came in Germany, as high-flying Manchester City took on Marco Rosas' Borussia Mönchengladbach side. Game ended 2-0 to the citizens, goals coming from Bernardo Silva and Gabriel Jesus. This wraps up this week's Champions League results. I'll see you guys next week. Now on to the next sport.
Switching from soccer, now on to baseball and the MLB. With spring training on the horizon, there were some key events that occurred in the days leading up to spring training. At the week's beginning, ex-Seattle Mariners team president and CEO Kevin Mathers was on the news for the wrong reasons. A video resurfaced itself on the internet where in an interview, Mathers was talking about not wanting to pay team translators and also about manipulating top prospects' service time.
And I made the statement, I'm tired of paying his interpreter. Because when he was a player, we pay Iwakuma X, but we also had to pay $75,000 a year to have an interpreter with him.
Mathers was also very critical of 20-year-old outfield prospect Julio Rodriguez's English, stating quote for quote, "He is loud. His English is not tremendous." After the video resurfaced itself, just a day later on February 22nd, Mathers resigned. Monday the 22nd proved itself to be a newsworthy day in baseball as the San Diego Padres made official their 14-year contract extension with 22-year-old phenom shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. Tatis Jr.'s 14-year, $340 million contract extension comes after the shortstop produced a .301 batting average, .956 OPS with 39 home runs and 27 stolen bases in his first 143 career games. Not too bad for the new MLB The Show 21 cover athlete. Also, spring training is now upon us. All 30 teams have started playing games as Sunday marked the official start of the baseball season. Of course, the games still don't count. It is spring training, but after a long off-season, the baseball calendar is now among us. For the reigning World Series champions, Los Angeles Dodgers, they opened up their spring training on Sunday afternoon, playing against the Texas Rangers from Arizona. Manager Dave Roberts also announced that the game from Sunday would be 7 innings long. That's how much it ended up to be with a 2-1 Dodgers victory. Monday's game against the Colorado Rockies also saw Trevor Bauer on the hill, the Dodgers' offseason splash, who was the 2020 National League Cy Young Award winner. Meanwhile, the crosstown rivals Los Angeles Angels started off their spring training with a Sunday afternoon game against the San Francisco Giants. With that said, that concludes our Baseball Weekly Recap. I'm Enrique Medina. Now let's go to you, Luke, with more on football. Luke, out to you.
What's up, guys? I'm Luke. I'm the football guy here for the Sportsrunner, and this is your NFL recap. We start off in Philadelphia, where Carson Wentz is traded to the Indianapolis Colts for the 85th overall pick in this year's draft and a conditional second-round pick in next year's draft. Carson Wentz is now reunited with Nick Sirianni, who was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, who once had his MVP caliber season before a season-ending injury. Some have said that the Colts were just a quarterback away from becoming contenders out of the AFC. So we'll see if Nick Sirianni could get Wentz back up to MVP caliber form and if they could make a run at the Super Bowl. Next, we have Deshaun Watson, quarterback of the Houston Texans, who may or may not be the quarterback going forward. As of right now, Deshaun Watson has said that he's not happy with the front office or the coaching staff. Deshaun Watson has said that he wished he had more say in coaching hire and he was able to decide on personnel choices. Even though Houston did hire David Culley, who is not a bad coach at all, Watson still wants no part of it. Even having a one-on-one interview, Watson still doesn't want to be a part of the team. Watson is the only Houston Texan that has publicly said that they don't like the organization. DeAndre Hopkins, who used to be a receiver for the Texans, was traded last season to the Arizona Cardinals. He always tweets shading the organization. Veteran J.J. Watt has publicly said that he isn't really happy with the organization and what the front office has been doing. He doesn't like that they haven't been able to get the weapons that Deshaun Watson deserves. So maybe we'll see if Deshaun Watson sits out this season or if the Texans actually get to trade him. Watson isn't the only quarterback that wants a trade. Russell Wilson does. Well, kind of. It's his team that stepped forward and said that Russell Wilson isn't happy with the Seahawks right now. They said that he needs more protection, that he gets hit too much. They even named his trading destinations that he would like to go to: Dallas Cowboys, New Orleans Saints, Chicago Bears, and Las Vegas Raiders. All good landing spots, all with potential market, all with offensive line. We'll see if Seahawks actually believe these. It's just speculation at this time just because Russell Wilson hasn't verbally said these things. A lot of teams are kind of buying in, thinking they have a chance, but we'll just have to wait and see. This has been your NFL recap, and thank you for watching the Sportsrunner.
Well, that will conclude our first segment of Sportsrunner Weekly. We hope you all enjoyed, but now we take things into further detail with some of these topics from our weekly recaps with the Sportsrunner Digest. Hello, Roadrunners, and welcome to this segment of the Sportsrunner Digest, where we're going to digest a little bit more of those weekly recaps, topics from those weekly recaps, and discuss here as a team just a little bit about each of the sports that we covered. So with that being said, Justin, the floor is yours with the NBA.
All right. Yeah. So for the NBA, they finally released the All-Star players and the list of the starters as well as the reserves. And right now, the two big names that are not going to be able to play are Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis. And for Kevin Durant, replacing him will be Domantas Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers, and replacing Anthony Davis, will be Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. And there's a lot of talk about players not wanting to do the actual events for All-Star Weekend due to injuries, and there not being a crowd much there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they managed to do it with the dunk contest and the 3-point contest too.
Yeah, and one thing I'm curious to see too, I don't know how much of a crowd they're going to have. I don't know how that much might affect the players in the actual festivities and the contest, but you do bring up that interesting point about injuries, especially since a lot of players were really opposing this All-Star Weekend as a whole since the beginning. You had guys like LeBron tweeting out, why are we doing this and things like that. It does bring into question things like injury, like you mentioned right now. Luke, you kind of have anything else to add in regards to that?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. All-Star Weekend is a lot of fun. I think NBA fans and just sports fans in general enjoy it, but that's what it really is. It's for the fans, to see all these players from around the league to all play against each other, and it just doesn't really make any sense. Like I said, it's for the fans, but there's not going to be any fans there. And just the excitement that you get from the dunks and from the competition, it's just not there anymore. And also they're playing in a shortened season. They didn't really get that much of a break. They really jumped into this season with maybe a little over 2 months of a break. And, it's not really fair to them. And I think All-Star Weekend should have been for them to actually have like a break in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Fernando, I know it's kind of a similar situation with a lot of the soccer leagues overseas, you know, in Europe and things like that, where kind of things have had to things are getting rushed, you know. A lot of competitions are being played, you know, back-to-back weeks and things like that. And it's kind of here in the NBA as well, where things are rushed. And the fact that they're still deciding to do this NBA All-Star game, it's kind of weird. Like, kind of chime in a little bit with what your thoughts are on it.
No, I agree with Luke. Like I know in Europe they would have to play 3 games in a single week. They would play their league games, Champions League games, and domestic games, and they just don't get a break. I know Luke said that it's for the fans, and it is for the fans. And if there's not going to be any fans in attendance, then what's the point of having the game? You know, you're risking the players to play in an unnecessary game. That's what I think.
Let me bring it to this. Do you guys ultimately think there should have been an All-Star weekend this season?
No.
I don't think so.
With that said, let's now dive into a little bit of soccer. Fernando, chime in a little bit about what the situation is.
Okay, so this past week we had the first leg of the Champions League round of 16. We had some important games like Barcelona and PSG. Excuse me. There was also Borussia Dortmund versus Sevilla, who, you know, it gave us a lot of young bright stars to look at in the future. And I just wanted to see what you guys, Enrique, I know you know a little bit of sport. I want to see what you think about this past week's results.
You know, one of the interesting things I was kind of seeing mentioned throughout Twitter, throughout social media, is kind of that like passing of the torch of Messi and Ronaldo to Holland and Mbappe. A lot of people still have confidence in Messi and Ronaldo potentially making a comeback. It's going to be tough with the PSG Barca tie just because PSG did score 4 away goals. In regards to the passing of the torch, I still don't think it's there. I still think Messi and Ronaldo are the top of the top. Holland and Mbappe are definitely studs, dude. Don't get me wrong. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, what Messi and Ronaldo have been able to do for years, I mean, it's absolutely insane. And what Holland and Mbappe are doing right now, at this point in their careers, Messi and Ronaldo were already doing more than what Holland and Mbappe are doing now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think the difference right now between Messi and Ronaldo and Holland and Mbappe is that right now Barcelona and Juventus, respectively, are looking to form a team around the players who take over Messi and Ronaldo. Players like the teams like PSG and Borussia Dortmund are building the teams around Holland and Mbappe, so they have more of like a freedom to do whatever they want. Players, I know Ronald Koeman, Barcelona's coach, has been benching Messi a lot recently. And, you know, the last 15 years, you would never see Messi on the bench. And I think they're just trying to transition into the phase like, oh, you know, he maybe wasn't as good as he was before, or maybe we're just looking for someone to replace him in the future. And I think that's what's happening right now between Messi and Ronaldo.
It's becoming apparent, you know, they still have the money to be competitive, you know, a PSG, a Barcelona, a Juventus, but it's really interesting to see what will happen in this second leg, see how that might result in one team being aggressive, maybe in some sort of transfer window or maybe rebuilding. It'll be interesting to see for sure. So let's switch off to our next topic. We have Major League Baseball and the huge situation this week that happened in Major League Baseball were the comments made by the ex-Mariners, the ex-Seattle Mariners CEO and president. He mentioned that, you know, he was sick and tired of being able to, or having to actually pay for translators for a lot of the foreign players. We have a lot of Japanese players, Dominican players, players from Puerto Rico who don't know English, so they need those translators in the game to help them out with communication. He also made comments in regards to manipulation of service time. And for those of you who are not too familiar with that situation, essentially what teams are doing, what a lot of front offices are doing, are manipulating the service time to kind of push back free agency an extra year for a player, or just to kind of prevent them from actually helping make an impact in the big leagues right away as soon as possible. Any of you guys have some sort of comments in regards to that translators thing or the manipulation of service time?
It's all messed up. Like it's like we see that a lot nowadays, like between owners and like people in the front office, like being able to dictate like an athlete's career. Like in this instance, this the former Mariners CEO, like he was able to dictate when a player gets to come join the team, or messing up his free agency time, and like really messing with his check. Like that's all really messed up, and especially because and then the whole translator thing is just like awful too, because baseball is a pretty diverse sport. Like you get a lot of like people from all over the world to play it, just like soccer, a very diverse sport. And like to get tired of paying translators is so like arrogant and just ignorant of thing to do, because you get so many people from around the world on your team that play for you, that make your team successful.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. So
Exactly.
I think I'm glad he's no longer has that job anymore. The way he was operating was totally messed up.
Yeah. Fernando, I kind of want to throw it on to you in regards to that part of the actual translators. We know language is a huge barrier too in European soccer and just soccer in general around the world. So what were kind of your thoughts in regards to the ex-Mariners presidents and CEOs' comments in regards to translators?
Well, I agree with Luke 100%. I mean, I just don't think it's right that a CEO, someone with that much power, can be so how do I say, like so disgrading on players that are playing for him, making his money.
Yeah.
Players from all around the world, Spanish speakers, Asian speakers, Japanese speakers, everywhere. So I don't think that's right. Okay.
And at the end of the day too, just they're playing for a check. They're playing for family. They're playing to be able to support themselves, to maintain a living. So these situations, it's just flat out sucks for the players, because there's not much they could really do. It just
it's a sport. Like you can play baseball without having to. I mean, obviously, communication is a huge factor in being successful in sports. But I know in soccer specifically, from my own personal perspective, there are players who go to a different league, to a different country, who don't speak the language, and they will not, like, they never learn how to speak the language, but they know how to play with the teammates. They might know a little bit of here and there, like communication in the game, but they never take the time to speak their own the language from their new country.
Got it, for sure. Yeah, sports, without a doubt, it's like its own universal language given whichever sport it is. With that said, though, let's switch into our last topic for our roundtable discussion. Luke, let me give you the floor with news about the NFL. Let us know.
So right now in the NFL, it's just kind of like this player uprising at the moment. And basketball and soccer players are able to speak freely and and want to join another team or whatever. Like we saw that a lot in the NBA in the past few years, like creating super teams, like texting players from other teams and like linking up, just demanding a trade publicly and stuff like this. Now it's reached the NFL, and the best example of that right now is the quarterback for the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson. He's been very vocal that he isn't really happy with the front office. They are, hiring a coach that he didn't really want. Not having a say in personnel decisions, like, hey, I want this receiver. Hey, I need these offensive linemen, stuff like that. And it's really just come to the point where it's like, I don't want to play for you guys anymore. And I don't really blame him. They never really did a good job of like getting him what he wants. And like even his own teammates, JJ Watt, Houston Texan legend for sure, by the time he retires, he's publicly said, we've wasted his years here. I'm not happy with how the office is running things. Yeah. And then we also, it's just really crazy right now.
I mean, with the NBA, I know Justin, James Harden, it kind of connects the dots a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, it was for James Harden's situation. It was hard because all offseason he wanted to be traded, but he ended up not getting traded even when the season started. So it's kind of like awkward as he started to play for his old team. But I mean, eventually he got to a team that he wanted to go to. So hopefully something like that will happen for Deshaun Watson over in the NFL. But you just have to wait and see for now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Fernando, I know it's not as similar the situation with Lionel Messi, but signs have shown over time that he has shown discontent with the board and with some of the higher ups in Barcelona. So even the situation's kind of similar there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Lionel Messi has came out publicly. He said that he is completely unhappy with how the club was running with former President Bartomeu. He actually went out on his own to list himself for transfer last season. He was looking to go to Manchester City. At the end, it didn't end up happening, but so he had to continue playing this season. Very discontent. You can see the way he plays, and especially the way the Barcelona results are coming his way. I don't think that he'll be there any longer once the window opens.
Yeah, and I think the crazy part about all of this situation is that it's happening in all these sports now, and really it's affecting a lot of players. It's interesting seeing that all these players are being more vocal than ever too, because you just really didn't see that too much in the past. Players were a lot more willing to stay on a team, even if they were bad. It's interesting that players are taking this stand. They're taking this stand now to really let their minds be known. It's interesting to see, and we'll see if this trend kind of continues in the upcoming years. With Deshaun Watson, with Messi, the situation with James Harden. But we'll see what it kind of leads up to. With that said, though, that's going to conclude this roundtable discussion, this segment of the Sportsrunner Digest. Tune in next week for our next discussion. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Absolute great chat with the team. Make sure you don't forget to tune in next week for the premiere of our third segment called the Sportsrunner Spotlight. With that said, that officially puts an end to the first episode of the Sportsrunner. Make sure you go check out this episode at elpaisanoonline.com or on our YouTube channel called El Paisano. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified for future episodes, and also make sure to follow us on Instagram at Elpai Media. Thanks for watching the Sportsrunner. We'll see you next week. Peace.